Good morning, afternoon or evening, it's Nick Banks again for all things PlayStation 4, and today it brings me great sadness to admit that I have the displeasure of running through a review for No Man's Sky. Now, well, that's a negative start, isn't it? Well, we'll get into exactly why I'm making negative starts. I think I speak for everyone when I say No Man's Sky was one of the most exciting titles for gamers all around to look forward to this year. It was up there, it was one of the big ones. And personally, myself, I was rooting for Sean Murray and his team over at Hello Games. They would turn out to be one of the last British game developers to have grown and flourished from EU funding, and fortunately for them, they had Sony's backing in the last couple of months coming up to release day. So in a game posing as the largest ever created, experience has shown me that nothing Sean said was ever a lie, contrary to what a lot of people have said across the internet so far as I can see. Perhaps expectations had grown too high as he answered the same tantalising questions from different interviews time and again, only serving to amplify our hope for the game time and again. Now, I can only imagine Sean Murray was under incredible pressure on release day because of all these interviews, all of the things that he'd said, and this was his baby. This was his project that he'd worked on for years and years, and he would have been one of the very few people around who knew that No Man's Sky could only ever underperform after all of these colossal amounts of expectations that got lumped onto it by the media, and there was nothing that he could do about that. No Man's Sky was a curious experience for me. It was like a two-sided coin, although not with good on one side or bad on the other. It's more of a complex good and bad. It's not a simple yin and yang, black and white. It just about scrapes through to the point that it's acceptable as a marketable finished product, and I'll get into what I mean by that later. But at the same time, the areas of the game that do function well, even though those are the working parts of the game, they're going to leave you wondering what more could have been done in those areas to amplify the experience up to a AAA standard. Again, with no thanks to the media hype, this is not a AAA title, which only serves to sour the initial player experience as the hours roll on and the realization sinks in. And what realization is that? It's a realization that this massive game is almost as void as its setting. It's fair to say that there were a lot of people out there, like myself, that approached No Man's Sky with a sense of very cautious optimism, and in the end it turned out a bit like viewing a wonderful house, only to move in and realise all the plumbing is broken. At the risk of listing off more negative metaphors, let's get into why I'm saying all of this, and start off with the gameplay that many players may or may not have been looking forward to. At the famous No Man's Sky initial presentation at E3 2 years ago, Sean Murray stated on stage words to the effect of, "It has resource farming, trading, planet ecologies, and combat, and many more things for you to look forward to." Now, the visual presentation at the time was impressive enough for us to not question very much. We were all blown away by that presentation to start with, but as I said earlier, Sean Murray has not lied to us. Those things are indeed what you get, and that's about it. Each of these things in video games usually add up to a winning formula. I'm looking at you, The Witcher 3. You've got crafting, trading, combat, maybe not planet ecologies, but the other three on their own have added up to make you a very good game. So what's the problem with No Man's Sky? Well, let's start off with the resource trading. There aren't really that many resources to farm. While procedurally generated planets will throw all kinds of wacky plants and animals and rocks at you, you will have seen all of the resources to find after about 5 hours of play, which is a tiny amount for a game of this scope, and without sounding like a greedy consumer, I honestly expected more. Trading obviously plays into the things that you dig up, and profits can be made. I saw the best areas to spend money in exosuit upgrades and buying a new ship. Both have a part to play in growing a larger inventory space, which is something that I really wanted, because when the game starts off you really don't have all that much space to play around with in there. Which is a problem, because even crafting the simplest things will ask for 3 slots in your inventory, taking up about 4 or 5 slots just to have the space to create that one thing. And your suit will inform you of a full inventory more often than collecting things without complaining. And this becomes a chore very quickly, and this is a big one for me. It has broken the cardinal rule of what a video game is supposed to be. It's supposed to be entertaining, not a chore. Next on the chopping board, let's take a look at the combat. Whether you're up in space dogfighting enemy spaceships or you're down on the ground fighting against sentinels protecting their planet, it will basically come down to blamming away and hoping that your shield and your health will hold out until the enemy is no more. Also, you've got to work really hard to unlock an upgrade which enables your character to even run. So on the later planets, when you've got a lot more enemies and things get a bit more dicey, you're going to want to move around a little bit quicker, which obviously the game won't allow you to do unless you've got that upgrade. Now, I worked very hard, got the upgrade, and the movement increase in speed was very minimal. So in the end, combat felt very sluggish, and it gave me a feeling of helplessness and a sense that I was applying very little in the situation. Again, just leading me to the blamming away and hoping for the best. This was the beginning of the downturn of my opinion of No Man's Sky. And Hello Games have come up with some interesting ideas for their universe, to be fair. Different galaxies will be sparsely occupied by different alien races that will speak nonsense to you to start with, but after several interactions and discoveries, you will gradually learn their language as your standing with them increases. Cool idea, right? Well, the benefit to this is that when you speak to these guys, the different alien races, your reward will be crafting blueprints. And this pretty good idea is actually undermined by the fact that these crafting blueprints are littered on pretty much every planet that you visit anyway. You'll also have a plethora of different ships to buy, varying in cargo space, defense, and firepower, so you can pick and choose as you please on that one. But if you see a ship that you want, you'll need to approach it and speak to its pilot and barter with it to take that ship for yourself. And again, a problem in that you have to be quick going up to that ship. It could fly away at any moment, and this is a problem that is perpetuated again by the slow movement speed. Oh, I really want that ship, but I can't get to it quick enough because my character is very sluggish and slow. And before I go any further, I just want to say I did try for you guys, okay? I did try really hard to pull some positives out of this. This is quite a negative video so far. So without further ado, let's move on to the graphics. No Man's Sky is not at AAA level. The more well-informed amongst us knew that about No Man's Sky. We knew that the graphics weren't going to be top par, but it does have its moments from time to time. Climbing a large hill and then reaching its apex to a wonderful view of a sunset at the right time of the day and seeing distant planets up in the sky, it's undeniably poignant. And it's a shame that these moments are surrounded by obvious texture popping as you approach a planet's surface. Some people may say I'm whinging a little bit there, but it's not even subtle. It's really in-your-face, obvious texture popping. And from the outside of a planet light years away, you're looking at the colour of the planet and you think, that could be a water planet or a grassy planet. As you enter its atmosphere, the texture popping changes such that your guessing was completely incorrect. Another thing, weird vibrating double vision that later settles when you approach planets in hyperdrive. It hurts my eyeballs, okay, Hello Games. When I'm approaching a planet in hyperdrive, I get to a certain point and it's almost as if, I don't know if anyone has any experience with 3D televisions, but you've got two images left and right. It's basically that, but they're both vibrating very erratically on the screen, and eventually the two images will link up together until the planet is just one planet, as opposed to drunk vision on crack. And most annoyingly, you've got waypoints that are unreachable. By this I mean you have a waypoint for a building pointed out to you, and you've got the ETA saying you'll get there in such and such a time. So, okay, cool, I'll get there in 10 minutes. Let's increase the speed and make that ETA down to 1 minute. The only problem is this glitch means that the faster you go, the more the waypoint gets away from you, which is absurd because it's a building, it's in a fixed place. And you have this time, so many minutes to arrival, and it hovers around the same point the more you supposedly move towards it. And this is extremely frustrating. And this happened several times on the same planet, so I was left with a choice at that point. I could perpetually follow this marker and grow stronger negative opinions about the game, or I could leave the planet and try somewhere else and grow stronger negative opinions about the game at a slower rate. Extremely frustrating for completionist gamers. So, if you're as sad as I am about how disappointing this game turned out, particularly annoying for me is that I was really looking forward to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. That turned out a disappointment, and I was looking forward to this one even more, and sadly it turned out to be even more of a disappointment than Mirror's Edge. So I'm going to try and pull out a positive here for you. I did at least have a little bit of fun naming the animals. It's not necessarily an area of the game that Hello Games intended to be a lot of fun, but as you can see, some of the animal names here, I had a really good laugh. We've got the Bonky Dink Fungal back here. What else have we got? What have we got here? We've got Catzella. What else? Armadillo Dog. Did I pull anything else up here? Let's have a look. No, we've got Raticus Pedonculus. And as much as you can see that I had a lot of fun with that, I mean, I had a lot of fun with it for about half an hour, and then I got fed up of renaming everything. So as much as I wanted this game to be the experience that I had imagined it to be, it just isn't. So I'll say it straight. No Man's Sky is boring. I always had my reservations in the lead up to its release. I figured a large portion of the gaming community wouldn't like it just because of the whole exploring, non-action oriented setting. I never figured that I would be one of those people. Agonizingly, I can still see the amazing potential of No Man's Sky that may yet be unlocked in future patches, and perhaps a special Neo release would work wonders for a game that may well be ahead of its time on paper. However, for anything really game-changing to be done would be extremely difficult with a game that already has a set algorithm creating everything that happens. It deeply saddens me that this will be the lowest rated game that I have done, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. And as much as it pains me, that is sadly the score that it deserves. At the same time, Sean Murray and his team could well end up being the godfathers of a whole new way to create games, a method that is perhaps in its infancy and could well be refined into amazing experiences in the future. Ultimately, No Man's Sky stands as testament to the damage pre-marketing hype can do to a game's final release, and that a bestseller will never again be indicative of a good game. Until next time, I'll see you guys on the next video for all things PlayStation 4. Peace.